Krásný dobrý den, já vás zdravím u dalšího videa. Hello and welcome to another video. Today you're going to learn how to make the passive voice in Czech. I already explained how to make one type of passive voice before, and today we're going to take a look at another type, per request of one of you. But first let me explain what is this passive voice. Let's read this first sentence. Otevřeli novou pekárnu. They opened a new bakery. This sentence is in active voice. We know the subject. Otevřeli, oni otevřeli. This is the subject. Oni otevřeli, this is the predicate. They opened a new bakery. Many times, if we want to emphasize what happened, but it's not really that important who did it, we use the passive voice. In Czech, we have two ways. Let's read this version now. Otevřela se nová pekárna. Otevřela se nová pekárna. This means a new bakery has been opened or was opened. Now the subject is nová pekárna, a new bakery. This is the predicate, the verb. A new bakery was opened. Oni is out of the picture now. What is important now is the new bakery is open. So this is so-called reflexive passive voice, and I already covered this, I believe 2 years ago. You can watch it here. And now the third option. Byla otevřena nová pekárna. A new bakery was opened. Byla otevřena. This is, you could say, a compound passive voice. What's the difference between these two? In Czech, we use this one much more often, especially in spoken Czech. It's not formal, it's reflexive because it has this se part. We use a verb and a reflexive se. I will not discuss this option here. You can watch the video I showed you before. I want to focus on this compound passive voice, which we make with the verb to be plus this passive participle. Don't worry if you don't understand these grammar terms. Just focus on the sentences, the examples I'm going to give you, and see how it works in the language. So in active voice, the object becomes the subject in the passive voice. Because here the subject is they opened a new bakery. And here it's about the bakery. The bakery was opened. Just one more thing that you should know before we move on. This type of passive voice, the reflexive passive voice, is informal, and this one is formal. So it's typical in news articles, for example, academic writing, in manuals, in reports, etc. So in spoken Czech, you will not find this that often. However, it is important to know about it if you read a lot in Czech. So let's see how exactly this type of passive voice works. Jdeme na to! Ahoj, vítejte na mém kanále Czech by Zuzka, kde vám pomocí angličtiny vysvětluju českou gramatiku. Let's take a look at some examples where you can find passive voice. You're on the road and then you see a sign saying Silnice je uzavřena. Silnice je uzavřena. The road is closed. The road is closed. So here we have the verb to be, and then this is passive participle, uzavřena. It's not important who closed the road. The important piece of information is that you cannot go through because the road is closed. Muž byl zatčen policií. The man was arrested by the police. Muž byl zatčen, the man was arrested. So we see the verb to be again, byl zatčen. He was arrested by the police, policií. Policií is in the instrumental case. So if you want to say who did it, then we would use the instrumental case. So this is by the police. If we wanted to change this sentence into the active voice, it would be like this. Policií would become the subject. Policie zatkla muže. The word order changes and also the structure changes. Now, policií becomes the subject, ta policie. The police arrested the man or a man. And muže here is the object. Unlike here muž is the subject. This sentence is more formal. It's something that you would find in a newspaper. Film byl natočen podle skutečné události. This means the movie was based on a true event. Or literally it was shot, it was recorded based on a true event. Film is the subject. Byl natočen. It was shot. Here it's not important who was the director, for example. So these phrases are formal. I want to show you a couple of fixed expressions that contain this type of passive voice, this compound passive voice. These are phrases that you might find also in spoken Czech. They are just so common. Co je psáno, to je dáno. If you got instructions, written instructions for example, and then someone tells you, oh, you should have done it differently, but you can say, oh look, this is what I read, a co je psáno, to je dáno. This means what is written is given. Co je psáno, to je dáno. You hear that it rhymes. Something like what's written is final. So you can always say this, even jokingly, you know, oh, she wrote this in her text message, so it must be true. A co je psáno, to je dáno. And let's see the structure. So we see the verb to be, right? Je psáno, what is written, that is given. So psáno from psát and dáno from dát. From the verb psát and dáno from the verb dát. You see they both finish with o or no actually. Psáno, dáno. These forms are called the reflexive participles. I'm repeating this form because if you need to look up some of these forms in příručka, in Internet Language Manual, you can look for these terms either in the English version or in the Czech version. It's called příčestí trpné. Here, příčestí trpné. Je rozhodnuto. It's decided. Je rozhodnuto. From rozhodnout. Rozhodnout means to decide. Je rozhodnuto. It's decided.
Ano, je rozhodnuto.
Jak bylo řečeno, also a very good phrase, as it was stated, as was said, literally. Jak bylo řečeno. Řečeno comes from the verb říct. Or often people say, bylo mi řečeno, že, which means I was told that. Also the same form, bylo mi řečeno, except here we added mi. It was told to me. You see how the structure is different. We are avoiding saying who said it, which can be diplomatic or formal. This is a phrase that you can use in spoken Czech as well because it's a really fixed expression, very common. You can write it in emails when you want to say, I was told that such and such thing is okay or should not be done, etc. And one more very good phrase, jak je uvedeno níže. Jak je uvedeno níže, as shown below, as it's shown below. Je uvedeno. Uvedeno comes from the verb uvést. Uvést has multiple meanings, one of which is to state, to mention. Let's read these together. They are really good phrases. Co je psáno, to je dáno. Je rozhodnuto. Jak bylo řečeno. Bylo mi řečeno, že jak je uvedeno níže. Below. So you see, they finish with no, all of them except here, rozhodnuto. We will see how to make these passive participles very, very soon. Let's see how to make the passive voice. We need two things. We need the verb to be and then the passive participle. The verb to be is easy. You can use all kinds of tenses depending on the context. But making the passive participle, it can be a little tricky. I also have a video that is closely connected to this topic. You can watch it here. I talked about short adjectives. Those short adjectives come from verbs, and they have the same form as the passive participle. So let's take a look at otevřít. Otevřít means to open. What you do is you remove the ending. We keep otevř and then we add ending. Otevřen, that would be for masculine. For example, obchod byl otevřen. The store was opened, has been opened. Otevřena, ena. Pekárna byla otevřena. The bakery was opened or has been opened. Otevřeno, that would be for it, for to. Parkoviště bylo otevřeno. The parking lot was opened, has been opened. So we're talking about the action that someone opened it. Now the plural is otevření. This would be masculine animate if you talk about people, for example. I cannot think of a good example with passive voice that someone was opened. Otevřeny would be masculine inanimate. Otevřeny. Obchody byly otevřeny. The stores were opened. Or also feminine. So this is masculine inanimate and feminine. They have the same endings, just like those adjectives. Pekárny byly otevřeny. Bakeries were opened. Otevřena would be neutral plural. Okna byla otevřena. The windows were opened. So all these are passive participles. Don't forget you also need the verb. You can use all kinds of tenses. For example, for the masculine, je otevřen, bude otevřen, byl otevřen. I want to show you a couple of more regular forms of passive voice. From the verb dát, to give, we've already seen it in action, given. And now you also see different forms depending on what pronoun we refer to. So we have dán, dána, dáno, dáni, dány, dána. Remember, to je psáno, to je dáno. Postavit, to build. So if you want to say that something was built or constructed, it would be removing the ending it here. I'm gonna help you. Here would be postaven. Postav, en, postaven. That's for the masculine. And then the others, you just add these respective vowels. Postavena, postaveno, postaveni, postaveny, postavena. Objevit. We do the same thing. Objevit means to discover. So it would be objeven. If you want to say that something was discovered, byl objeven nový prvek, a new element has been discovered, objeven. Vytvořit, to create. Something was created. The same thing would be vytvořen. Vytvořen. Otevřít, we already saw that. Otevřen. These are the base forms for the masculine singular. Zavřít, to close. If something was closed, it would be zavřen. Obchod byl zavřen. The store has been closed. Psát, surprisingly, is regular. Psát and psán. And we had psáno. So je psáno, to je dáno, remember? And then we have so many irregular forms, which I am not going to write here because it would take so long. So this is what I'm going to do. I will display these common irregular forms. You can take a look at it, take a screenshot. You see some changes in vowels, for example. You see sledovat, sledován. We prolong it, or we shorten it, like zabít, we say zabit. Zranit, because of the ň, we have to reflect it in the accent over i. Zraněn. And all those old verbs, nout, rozhodnout, they become shorter. Rozhodnut. Sometimes we have changes in letters. We soften them, like zavrhnout, zavržen, říct, řečen, vyhlásit, vyhlášen, etc. You see that most endings for passive participle end in n, n, or an, or a couple of them are irregular, they finish with t, like zabit. I also want to invite you to join my YouTube channel as a member. For now, I have 15 extra videos that are available for members only. Those are the videos that I once published as a project of Čeština na gauči. You can support my work with a very small fee that you pay monthly. And depending how long you have been a member, you will have a special badge. I customized a couple of badges with a Czech theme. You can also read about them in my YouTube community. And there are also customized emojis. Now we're going to practice with 5 sentences. Your task will be to change the active voice to passive voice. Take a look at these sentences. The object in the sentence with the active voice becomes the subject. For example, if we say otevřeli školu, they opened a school, it would be škola byla otevřena. Pause the video so you have enough time to work on this. Jdeme to zkontrolovat. Číslo 1. Dům postavili v roce 1920. This is the active voice. So we would say, dům byl postaven v roce 1920. Číslo 2. Odeslal jsem balík. It's not important that I sent the package. It's important that the package has been sent. Balík byl odeslán. Balík byl odeslán. Číslo 3. Text přeloží do němčiny. It's not important who's gonna translate it. We want this text translated. So, text bude přeložen do němčiny. Bude přeložen. This is future tense. Číslo 4. Jak jsme se dohodli? Jak bylo dohodnuto? Jak bylo dohodnuto? A číslo 5. Zvolili jsme nového prezidenta. Byl zvolen nový prezident. That's one option. We could also say nový prezident byl zvolen. There is a very small difference between these two sentences. The first one, byl zvolen nový prezident, that would be a new president was elected. Nový prezident byl zvolen, if we have nový prezident at the beginning, then it would be already known, so the new president was elected. A to je ode mě všechno. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch these related videos if you want to know a little bit more. And I'll see you next week. Mějte se, čau.